Uh, for those who do not know me, I'm Kateryna Kyslenko, the head of the Service Desk Ukraine in German Eastern Business Association, and I'm super happy to co-moderate this webinar together with my colleague from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Felix Graf. Thank you for being with us as well. And now we continue our webinar series, Team Deutschland, and we devote this IT topic today to our main topic. And recently, our organization have been focusing on the IT sector. Last December, as you know, as many of you know, we organized our German Ukrainian Economic Forum, which was attended by Chancellor Merz and President Zelensky, and we were pleased to bring a delegation of IT companies from Ukraine. And after that, we received positive feedback and continue to do everything in our power to deepen German-Ukrainian cooperation, especially in the IT sector. So in the first part of the webinar, our speakers will briefly share their tools, experiences, analytics, and visions for the development of German-Ukrainian cooperation in the IT sector. We have speakers and participants today from Germany and from Ukraine. That is why our webinar is conducted in English. And in the second part, we have our breakout sessions planned on 3 different topics: insurance and financing, IT, digitalization and tech, and the third is outsourcing. So later on, you can join the session that interests you and discuss issues, ask questions. So for that, you will have approximately 15 minutes. And of course, I'm super happy to see companies, IT companies from Ukraine and Kharkiv IT cluster here from Ukraine. We are in a very close connection with them. And from other side, we are in a very close connection with our German member companies. And of course, we want to use all our connections to further strengthen German-Ukrainian collaboration in IT sector. Well, I will not go deeply into statistics, into details, because we have speakers from Germany and from Ukraine for that aim, but just few sentences from me about Ukraine IT sector. What I observe now when I communicate with Ukraine, I returned from Kiev last week, so I communicated with IT companies as well. What I can say, Ukraine's IT sector has become really one of the most resilient and internationally integrated part of the Ukraine's economy. And it is an increasingly strategic partner for European and especially for German companies. From German companies, we receive now more and more requests regarding IT sector. That is why since 2025, we focus on IT as well. And of course, despite the ongoing war, IT remains Ukraine's large exporter of service, accounting for around 38-39% of all service exports and contributing approximately 4.5% to annual GDP. And of course, Ukraine's IT industry is no longer limited to classic outsourcing. Now, Ukrainian IT companies deliver full cycle digital solutions, all fields highly relevant, especially for German SMEs and industrial players. And actually, that is why Germany plays a strategic role in this ecosystem. And it's constantly listed among Ukraine's top 6 export markets. In short, Ukraine today offers German companies a lot of things. Main of them, it's one of the Europe's largest and most experienced IT talent pools. It's, of course, a strong expertise in industry-relevant digitalization, and it's, of course, proven resilience and reliability. There are, of course, a lot of challenges. I will not focus on that now because our speakers will have the opportunity to do that. And I will give a word now to my co-moderator, Felix Graf. He will also make a presentation. He is a manager investment guarantees of the Federal Republic of Germany. So actually our aim today, not only to hear about possibilities, opportunities, but to become a real platform for changing opinions and for strengthening the collaboration. You can feel free to write your questions or the contacts of your company in the chat. Let me remind you that we will record the webinar. You will receive all the presentations later on. And if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat. So, Felix, the floor is yours. I wish all of us an interesting webinar, and please.
Yes, thank you very much, Kateryna, and thank you for the introduction. Really happy to be here again in the webinar. So, yeah, let's move on to the first section. In this section, we want to give you a short overview about options for financing and insuring projects in Ukraine, because in the past we have repeatedly observed that German companies interested in Ukraine are not sufficiently informed about the wide range of support which is available for economic activities in Ukraine. So I'll start right away with the first slot, which covers the federal government's investment guarantees. Beginning with a short question, what are those investment guarantees? With this guarantee scheme, the German government has been protecting direct investments by German companies abroad against political risks for decades already. And those insured direct investments can be in the form of equity participations, shareholder loans, or even bank loans. And the guarantee can cover losses caused by political risks, which means mainly war risks, expropriation risks, and convertibility and transfer risks. And yeah, the guarantee instrument was not established, especially in response to the current situation in Ukraine, but they are, of course, currently a very important support tool in order to be able to invest in projects in Ukraine at all. And I think this is because the German government has not restricted the scope of the guarantee with regard to war risks, despite Russia's war of aggression. Normally, in the event of an active war in a country, the government would impose a coverage freeze on investment guarantees for that country. However, the German government did not do so in the case of Ukraine. And I think this demonstrates the government's strong commitment to support Ukraine to the best of its ability. And consequently, the guarantee conditions have also not been worsened. That is, the standard guarantee fee of 0.5% per year continues to apply, and the one-time application fee has even been waived as a sign of special support for Ukraine. Yeah, what's the current situation? We are seeing a high demand for investment guarantees for Ukraine. In the last 3 years alone, Ukraine ranked first among all countries in terms of the number of approved applications. And since the escalation of Russia's war of aggression in 2022 until the end of 2025, the German government has provided 50 guarantees for new German direct investments in Ukraine. Last year, the volume of approved applications for Ukraine amounted to 259 million euros, and the total outstanding guarantee volume for Ukraine stood at 558 million euros at the end of 2025, which is also a record high for Ukraine, and this number will surely increase further in 2026. Yeah, if you're looking at the most important sectors so far, the demand for guarantees was particularly high in 2025 in the energy and infrastructure sectors, I think for obvious reasons. Nevertheless, demand was broadly diversified. For example, guarantees were also provided for projects in the food and beverage industry and the construction industry. And of course, we'll be more than happy to see applications for projects in the IT sector in the future, of course. Yeah, last note from my side, the investment guarantees can be combined with other programs, for example, with the newly created Ukraine Connect program of the DEG. Marion Hierl from the DEG will tell us later more about this program. And in this scenario, for example, the investment guarantees could be used to secure German direct investments, and Ukraine Connect serves to refinance those investments. Yeah, if you're interested in the investment guarantees, yeah, feel free to contact me. You can find my details in the presentation, and you will receive this after the webinar. And of course, I will also be available to answer any questions in the breakout sessions we will have later on. Perfect. And now we can move on to the next topic, to the export credit guarantees. And Michael Geske, he's a senior underwriting manager at Euler Hermes for the regions of Eastern Europe, the South Caucasus, and Central Asia. And he will tell us how federal export credit guarantees can support projects in Ukraine. Yeah, Michael, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And if you would be so kind to move directly to the second slide of my presentation, then I can give it a start. Thank you so much. In principle, the export credit guarantees are run by Euler Hermes on behalf of the Federal Republic of Germany, quite comparable to the investment guarantees Felix has just described. And they work principle in two ways. The aim of the instrument overall is to support and foster German export abroad. So this is always the basis we focus the products on we are offering. And the kind of products, as I said, work in two different ways. The one is and the classical product, so to say, that we cover the non-payment risk deriving from German export contracts when delivering, for example, to Ukraine, being it services, IT, or being it goods to be delivered. And we can just secure the non-payment risks and with the term either up to 1 year or in medium long-term way. And in the short-term perspective, coverage has been significantly used last year. There we have underwritten transactions with a volume of 750 million euros last year, which is significantly above pre-war level. And what we can also do, and this is the thing I want to focus today, is that we can also cover the financing of German exports. So if a German bank finances an export contract for the foreign buyer, for the Ukrainian buyer, they can also benefit from our cover. And as I said, we're running the instrument on behalf of the German government. So therefore, the transaction benefits, or the coverage will benefit from the AAA rating of the Federal Republic of Germany, reducing the financing costs, especially the risk margin of the financing bank. And we can work in a really long-term perspective. Depending on the project, we can offer repayment periods of up to 15 years, plus construction or delivery period. So door to door, it's even significantly above the 15 years. And if we are talking about a renewable sector, especially climate-friendly projects, there are tenors of up to 22 years, again, plus construction are possible. And one thing I want to elaborate here is, as we are working on the federal budget and have done so for years, we can also cover quite very complex structures and have gained really quite some experience how different transactions can be structured. And this is, I want to stress here, especially today, we have a cover policy for Ukraine, which I will come to in a minute. But as I said, we have really long-term experience structuring complex deals. So if anything does not fit 100% to the transaction you're aiming, it's really the aim of our government to use the instrument to support Ukraine in the best possible way in the current situation. So if it doesn't fit 100% to what you're aiming at, please give us a call and we can see where we can find solutions. And then I would move on to the cover policy for Ukraine. In short-term business, we do not have any restrictions for coverage. Of course, we have to do a risk due diligence and to look at the German sourcing within the transaction, but this is not specific for Ukraine. And in medium long-term business, as in the investment guarantee scheme, our country cover policy has not been changed after the war began, which is quite a novum as well. And we have still the country ceiling of 250 million euro, so the overall exposure that we are about to take and the single transaction should not exceed 10 million euros. But if there's a good argumentation, we can cover significantly higher amounts. And we've done so in the recent past with really significantly higher amounts. So please, if the project is bigger, don't hesitate to contact us and we will see what we can do. And what we have to look closer as well is at the local costs and foreign sub-supplies. There we have to see the argumentation behind that. And coming to the risk assessment, we can in principle work with all three kinds of categories, being it sovereign risk, bank risk, or corporate risk. But in corporate risk, we would require, at least for bigger transaction, audited IFRS statements. For smaller transaction, we can see if we can make exceptional decision with regard to that. And this is in principle what I wanted to tell you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm very much looking forward to our ongoing dialogue in the breakout session or in the aftermath of today's presentation. You find my contact details here, and I'm very much looking forward to the dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. I think it's really encouraging that the government is providing such clear and significant support to Ukraine through those foreign trade promotion instruments. Okay, so to conclude the first section, we must of course also address the financing aspect. And here Marion Hierl, Senior Analyst at the DEG, Deutsche, Investitions- und Entwicklungsgesellschaft, will now explain the Ukraine Connect program and the associated financing support, which may also be available for your projects in Ukraine. Marion, yeah.
Thank you, Felix. Hello, everyone. My name is Marion Hierl. I'm from DEG. And today I want to talk about the financing side, so how German companies can access financing for their investments in Ukraine, and specifically from DEG and from a really attractive promotional program that we launched last year. So on the next slide, I want to give a brief overview of DEG, just for your background. So who is DEG? DEG is a wholly owned subsidiary of KfW. And if private companies seek in financing for their investments in challenging, but also at the same time, high growth markets, DEG is usually the right partner to turn to. We have over 60 years of experience in financing in developing and emerging countries, and we have almost 12 billion euros invested worldwide, spread around the globe, including Ukraine, of course. And on the next slide, I want to talk about the program that was launched last year, end of last year, that provides attractive financing options for German companies investing in Ukraine. It's called Ukraine Connect, and it's funded by the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy, and DEG is implementing that program. And what does it offer? Basically, we provide unsecured loans of up to 5 million euros. This is a long-term financing. So the tenor is from 3 to 7 years. We offer optional grace periods. And we also have like a risk-sharing approach where we work closely together with the team from PricewaterhouseCoopers for the investment guarantees. So mostly companies get financing at the same time together with the protection against political risks, what is super important in Ukraine. And for the structure, we usually disperse to the parent company in Germany in euros, and then the funds are transferred internally to Ukraine. And we really try to set up the program in a streamlined, fast, easy way. So there, as I said, there's no collateral needed for the financing. We have no commitment fee, no due diligence costs, and no breakage costs. And also the financing conditions are pretty simple. You can see that on the next slide. So we generally offer attractive interest rates. These rates are fixed for the whole term and provide predictability. And on top of that, we also have interest rate reductions. So with the interest rate reduction of Ukraine Connect, we cover the costs of the investment guarantee. And furthermore, companies can get reductions in 50 basis points if they're investing the first time in Ukraine or if they're investing in a new oblast. They can also get 50 basis points reduction if the procurement of services or goods is from Germany, and also if the group is a small or medium enterprise. And overall, there can be a reduction of up to 150 basis points. So 50 per category, but in total, a maximum of 150 basis points. So who can benefit from the program? German shareholders, German groups with Ukrainian subsidiaries. Those groups need to be established and profitable, and they need to have a financing need between 250,000 euros and 5 million. So for a really brief overview, on the next slide, you can see what we have financed so far. So together with the previous program, Impact Connect, that is still in place, but that is available worldwide. It was, the other program was is active since 2019, but together, though, we granted loans of more than 50 projects. More than 90 projects, including 10 in Ukraine, over 300 million euros in loans, and more than 50 in Ukraine. And we have a sector agnostic approach. So we have primarily financed the manufacturing sector, but also the energy sector. But we would be really open to finance opportunities in the IT and tech sector. Yes. So basically, if you're looking for suitable financing for your investments in Ukraine, don't hesitate to contact me or my colleague, Alex Klein, at any time. You can see on the next slide our contact information. I think it will be shared later, and we're always open for discussions. And maybe we see each other in the breakout room later. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah, I think it's a really exciting program that the DG has, and it can be particularly helpful in Ukraine because there, after my experience, securing the funding is one of the biggest challenges right now. Okay, we go over to the next section now. We turn to a presentation by Mr. Garry Poluschkin of the German economic team, which on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy advises the government of Ukraine and others on all aspects of economic transformation. Mr. Poluschkin serves as the country coordinator for Ukraine, and he will tell us about the current IT sector monitor for Ukraine, which was created by the German economic team. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Felix and Kateryna, for having me here. My presentation will give a very short overview of the developments, opportunities, and challenges of Ukraine's IT sector based on very recent developments. If you go to the next slide, please. My presentation will look at 3 topics: the IT sector contribution to the overall economy, then to external trade of Ukraine, and then some opportunities and challenges in the area of employment developments. Next slide. Looking at the overall sectoral contribution to the economy, and here I can already refer to what Kateryna said, the IT sector plays a very important role. Looking at the development since the start of Russia's full-scale war, we see that the sector fell at almost the same magnitude as did the economy, of almost 30% decline in 2022. However, the recovery of the IT sector was much more strongly than much stronger than that of the economy. The IT sector almost reached pre-war levels already in last year, while the overall economy lags behind and has a very different recovery path. As a result, the share of the sector to the overall economy increases step by step. The ICT sector, so including communication, increased from 4.7% in 21 to 7.3% in 2025, whereas this share does not include IT manufacturing, so hardware manufacturing, repair of hardware. This is just the service part. If we would include also hardware, the share would be higher. IT without communication reached 3.4% of GDP last year. This confirms that the sector plays a very important role to the economy. On the next slide, we look at international trade, and here the importance for the economy even increases. The IT sector has a very strong trade surplus, whereas the overall economy strong trade deficit. Exports are at around $7 billion, while imports are around just $2 billion. And they are very much driven by computer services, so consultancy, software programming, and other areas of computer services. For overall, the share of the IT sector in Ukraine's exports increased from 4% in 2015 to 12% in 2025. Increased by more than threefold. As a result, the export share is much higher than the GDP share, showing the very strong export orientation of the sector. If we look on the chart below on the computer services exports by destinations, we see a very new development. The EU became the #1 destination of Ukraine's IT sector exports, whereas the US was #1 for very long time, even before 2021. This very continuous increase of the EU as the main partner is now reaching the first place of the EU. Also, EU and Ukraine are in EU negotiations, and one of the aspects is the digital single market, with Ukraine approving legislative steps. Ukraine could even more get access to the digital single market and further get opportunities in export potential. Overall, we see a very strong export orientation, though in the very recent years, some stagnation during the war. Still, the potential is very strong. On the next slide, and this would be my last slide, yes, this one. Thank you. We look at the employment developments. There are around 345,000 IT experts in Ukraine. Most of them are working as individual entrepreneurs, and with very larger average wage than in the total economy. There is also rising interest of students in ICT studies. We see the development on the chart above. In 2017, around 2.7 students graduated in ICT of total students. Now in 2023, the share increased to 8.2% and now exceeding Poland, Germany, Romania, and almost approached Estonia. Very strong development, and this shows that there is a large ICT junior expert cohort entering the labor market. What is rather a challenge is the shortage of senior IT specialists in the fourth quarter of 2025, 47% of ICT companies reported shortage of skilled labor, and this is an increased share compared to 21, where it was 30%. So we have a large junior expert cohort, but a shortage of senior experts. And this also impacts the value chain position of Ukraine's IT and ICT sector. The employment in value-added intense companies grows recently. We look at the chart below. The rather dark blue areas are product companies or hybrid companies, so outsourcing and product. Their share increases while the share of just outsourcing or staffing companies declines. And this is very much related to Ukraine's public demand for IT products, which has very much increased since the beginning of the full-scale war in the areas of cybersecurity, military application, or other government service products. So we have a very strong demand for products rather than outsourcing or staffing. And this also shows the development and maturing of Ukraine's IT sector. With this, I would finalize my presentation and look forward to your questions in the breakout sessions. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for presenting this very interesting study, IT Monitor. And next, my co-moderator, Kateryna, will take over again as moderator. Kateryna.
Yeah. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, everyone who have given a speech already. And now it's a big pleasure for me to invite Nadiia Chustiak. She represents Kharkiv IT cluster. Of course, you can imagine that I communicate with a lot of companies from Ukraine, but the fact that Kharkiv IT cluster, they are so active, every time when I communicate with them delights me more and more. And it started last year, as I have already told, when we prepared the delegation trip from Ukrainian companies to Germany. So Nadiia, the floor is yours. You are on the ground. Please tell us more about what is going on and about your vision and about the vision of the companies, your members.
Thank you very much. How Kateryna said, I represent here Kharkiv IT cluster as a community builder. We said that we are a cluster with one of the most resilient city in Ukraine. And for today, I prepare some short presentation about our organization and what's going on in Kharkiv IT cluster. First of all, who we are. Kharkiv IT cluster is a not-profit organization founded in 2050 to focus on shared challenges by uniting leading Ukrainian tech companies, universities, and of course, government. And in core of our organization, of course, our tech companies. And for today, it's more than 100 different IT companies around not only Kharkiv, but also around Ukraine. We consolidate Ukrainian IT industry to develop ecosystem for technology business, and our motto sound like rooted in Kharkiv and expanding globally. Why so? Because, how I said, as a Kharkiv, we are trying to expand our influence not only of our national level, but also of our international field to help our companies to develop the international market. What about the Kharkiv IT cluster in numbers? I will say that we unite more than 100 organizations, but we have more business partners and also different organizations which help us provide different services for our members. It's now more than 1,000. Also, we are trying to unite more than 50,000 different IT professionals around the Ukraine. And we are very proud that we have such a great educational partners. And for today, it's more than 200. Also, as a cluster, we have key directions of cooperations. We have 7 different directions. And first of all, I want to elaborate advocacy because in our reality in 2022, we are trying to provide the new type of different services as a cluster. It was sharing of the offices. yeah, maybe someone have questions. Maybe you can unmute our participant.
Ich höre mir aber gerade noch diesen interessanten Beitrag aus der Ukraine an.
Okay, I will lead and you can ask some questions after my presentations. Okay, about the advocacy, we protect the interests of the tech industry at the policy level, working with some government organization to shape legislation. It's not very easy way, but we are trying to make some changes, first of all, for our IT companies. And also, we are trying to provide good services for our members. And I personally, as a community builder, trying to shape this sphere. What it is, there are some practical tools, legal and business resources for our member companies. Also, we have a huge number of different charity and social projects, from supporting veterans returning into IT to community initiative to keep Kharkiv's tech community together. It's not very easy in our reality, but we are trying to unite more than 100 organizations, and for today it's a little bit challenge for us. Also, as a community, we have some networking services. We're connecting different Ukrainian IT business with European and global markets. And when we said about some international activities, I want to also say a few words about our strategic European projects. First of all, it's Eastern Ukrainian EDIV, Enterprise European Network. Also, we said EN and IT Bridge. In this participation, we are trying to be a bridge between Ukraine, between Kharkiv, and also our European partners. And you maybe know about our also cluster initiative OBRI. Because of the reality of 2022 change our priority, we launched OBRI, a community of dual-use technology producers, helping Ukraine build technology resilience. And for today, we have more than 20 different organizations and members which help us to develop this cluster initiative. We're trying to provide them good services and also trying to elaborate them on the international field. But we are trying to find also some partners in this field, because you know there is some sensitive field for today for us. But also, I want to say a few words about our educational format of participation, because, how I said, we are very proud of this sphere. The tech industry is only as strong as its next generation of engineers, and we are very believe in these words. We run programs like Code in the Future, opening digital skills labs in the schools. We have some career consulting, boot camps, different university partnerships. In 2025 alone, over 1,000 graduates entered the tech workspace through our initiative. We know how previous speaker said, Garry, that now the many companies trying to look for some seniors position, but we are trying to also provide good quality, some educational progress for our trainee, for different schools and university. Also, what we are looking for and what we can offer, what we are looking for is always some project cooperation, some partnership, some business connection. How I said, we now trying to make some bridge between our Ukrainian companies, not only from Kharkiv level, but also on our national level, and between our international different projects and organizations. And it's very important for us to develop this kind of connection. And when you have some ideas, we open and we can discuss the different type of, for example, knowledge exchange or some business connection. And what we can offer, we now trying to provide the new services for our members. We have a huge experience in a lot of different participation in the project, and also can provide some different resources for you. For example, we have access to the more than 300 different IT companies on Kharkiv level, but also on our international level. As a Kharkiv cluster, we provide some services for different clusters, for example, for Kyiv or Dnipro cluster. For this reason, we can make this bridge between different clusters and international level. You can follow us on social media. If you have some questions, I will be glad to answer them. And if you have some different kind of format of partnership, we also open. We can discuss the different type of this participation. And I will be glad to see you in our next sections. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadiia. Nadiia will be moderating one of our breakout sessions called IT, Digitalization and Tech. So you will have the opportunity to ask her questions or discuss everything you are interested in. We are a bit out of time, so actually I will be a bit in a hurry, and I'm pleased to invite Dr. Alex Thomas. Now he's a senior executive, TheCityUK. We are now stepping into international experience. So Alex, hi, thank you for coming, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kateryna. Is my presentation are you going to show the presentation, or will I? Sorry.
I don't know.
Sorry, is everyone? Sorry, I thought it would be someone else. Okay. Should I screen share?
Yes. My colleague is just demonstrating, and he has done it for other speakers. I do not know what is going on now.
I'm sure. Can you not see it? I'm showing my screen right now.
No, there's nothing on the screen.
There's nothing on the screen.
No.
Sorry, wait a second. Okay, it should be ready now.
No.
No.
No. Probably Ruta, can you show that?
Dear Mr. Thomas, I made you to co-host. Please try to share your presentation now.
Okay. Is that working?
Yeah.
It's working. If you could go to the presentation models, that will perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, so sorry about that. Hello, everyone. I'm here representing the procurement working group of the Business Advisory Council, which is part of the Ukraine donor platform. The Business Advisory Council was set up in 2024 at the Berlin URC, Ukraine Recovery Conference. And the mandate was to provide private sector expertise to the government of Ukraine via harnessing the international business community. And we have a high level, there was a representative from each of the Ukraine donor platform countries was appointed from the business community. And those representatives then chose what they wanted to do in any given year. It tends to be on a rolling annual basis. So in the first year, we had an insurance focus because the UK representative was Bruce Carnegie Brown from Lloyd's of London. And then this year, it's the second year of the Business Advisory Council. We now have Julia Hoggett from who's the CEO of the London Stock Exchange, who wanted to focus on capital markets and on procurement of Ukrainian IT tech services. So the group is chaired by Julia Hoggett and also Roman Dubčak of CIBC in Canada. And we've been convening since December now. And we've come up with the initial phase was the research phase to identify the problems that the Ukrainian tech solutions companies are facing with exporting and what problems international companies have with procuring Ukrainian tech services. I won't go into the sector contest. We've obviously heard lots about that. I'll say something on the methodology. So we initially had an online survey which went out to international companies and to Ukrainian providers, and these were supplemented then by individual interviews with companies and with business associations and with the tech clusters and with the Ministry of Digital Transformation as well. I would say the survey went out to a very large number of people, but as with surveys, often it can be hard to get responses. The response rate wasn't a huge sample size, so we used it more to create internal findings, create internal data, which we then tested with market partners and the Ministry of Digital Transformation. We have from international companies the primary drivers of engagement who are already operating with Ukrainian tech providers was around their technical skills, cost effectiveness, and cultural and business compatibility. The operational challenges that they face were around staff shortages, which we've already heard about from Garry. But interestingly here, the power outages were not flagged as an issue by any of the respondents. In terms of legal, financial, and risk, the data we provided, there were concerns around GDPR, there was concerns around payment processing, invoicing, and also around cybersecurity insurance and then internal approval difficulty for Ukrainian vendors. The green ones are interesting, so that's what wasn't flagged. So that's what we have been focusing on, particularly with our solutions and our recommendations. I'm going to keep moving on because I know we're short of time. This is then for non-engaged companies. The main barriers were internal procurement policies within companies, conflict zone exclusions, and then also existing satisfactory relationships elsewhere. There was also around conditions to reconsider engagement. There was a strong focus on dispute resolution and international arbitration clauses. This is something we've been doing a lot of work on in our legal and regulatory working group. But something we've been working on for a couple of years now, and it's a problem that comes up across the business community and in other sectors as well. From a Ukrainian provider perspective, we've got there were raised with us were concerns around lead access, so limited access to decision makers in companies, procuring companies, and also a trust without presence, so not having a lack of face-to-face interaction, not having a presence on the ground, and then ring fencing. Obviously, we know about EU local content requirements and other market barriers that Ukrainian exporters face. So what are our recommendations? We've got for the there was a lot we heard about over compliance around problems around know your client and anti-money laundering. So for that, we are proposing to draft a short guidebook of around 5 pages for Ukrainian tech companies to be better prepared when they go to companies for what the kinds of questions they're likely to face, the kinds of issues that they're going to have to navigate when they deal with international companies operating to high international standards. Another thing we're looking at there is around a kind of online KYC vetting platform within Dear City, and that could also help. And then the second recommendation is around the issue of lack of access to local networks in export markets, and there we're looking at facilitating free 12-month memberships in relevant industry bodies in the UDP donor country markets, and then also obviously the EU and North America. The third one focuses on the corruption perception, and for that we're working with the Export Credit Agency, looking at the U-Control platform around promoting a kind of standardized due diligence pathway for international companies, evaluating Ukrainian partners. So the third one is for international companies looking at Ukrainian. The first one recommendation is for Ukrainian companies to help them prepare for export. And then the fourth recommendation, we've got so this is the most difficult one. It's looking at the local content requirements and whether there could be space for a time limited exemption from those requirements. That we, as I say, these are working recommendations. The working group has not finished. We are still testing these recommendations in the market and with stakeholders. So if we haven't fully explored this one yet with, for example, the European Commission to see how likely this could be, it could be that this, if it's too difficult, then that one could change before later on. So and then the fifth one is looking at the service continuity perception and how we can address that. So that looks at creating a campaign and a package of case studies of companies that have not had issues with service continuity in the Ukrainian market, and then promoting that at road shows and international conferences and the like. So as I say, this is the working group is due to deliver at URC in Gdansk in June. So we've got a bit of time. We're still working on this, but I really look forward to some of you joining the breakout room to kind of test some of these ideas and get your feedback and your opinion on the problems we've identified, whether they chime with the problems that you face or that you've experienced, you've seen in the market, and also then to think about how feasible and impactful these recommendations could be if they were executed properly.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, thank you very much. Alex will moderate our breakout session called Outsourcing, so you will be able to join that session if you have additional questions or some issues that you want to discuss. So now I'm happy to invite our next speaker, Dr. Andreas Gödecke. He is the CEO of the ELEKS company, our company member. So Andreas, the floor is yours, and you have only 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Because...
You will share. I prepared one quick slide. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Wonderful. Good. I don't want to make it about ELEKS, but I just thought I'd show shortly a couple notes about the company. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it. I want to give a little bit of an impulse from the business side, right? ELEKS is one of the IT companies, maybe IT outsourcing companies. We were founded 32 years ago in Ukraine by the professor Alexis Kripnik from Lviv Polytechnic University, have grown in Ukraine happily, very happily. We are right now around 2,200 people operating worldwide with now, of course, 21 international offices, so on a global scale, right? And maybe I want to give a little bit of an impulse how we operate in Ukraine with Ukraine, because I sometimes still feel that people are a little bit uncertain. I mean, the first thing that is very important for me to highlight, we continue to operate in Ukraine. Yeah, you see here around 1,600 talents are still in Ukraine, 60% of our workforce. We are very proud of that, and we want to keep that. First of all, because we want to stand with Ukraine, we want to be part, I wouldn't even say rebuilding, right? I would say we continue to grow, have always continued to grow in Ukraine, but also because I think it makes good business sense to stay in Ukraine. We already heard it. Great talent, great technology, great innovation. I want to highlight that once more here because, I mean, everybody in the IT space is now talking about AI innovations. And yeah, I don't know. Some people say war is the father of all things. I mean, we definitely see that in the dual use space, Ukraine is undoubtedly the innovator in the world right now. And although Alex, we are ELEKS proper, the company I'm working with, we're not in the military space, but of course we see a lot of talent there, and I can only stress the enormous innovation that comes out of that, right? Of course, I also don't want to deny that there are challenges of operating in Ukraine. We, of course, need special resilience. I mean, only 60% of our workforce is now in Ukraine. It was 90+% before 2015. I mean, we moved our headquarters to Estonia in 2015 when Crimea was invaded. Have the war always in the back of the head, right? But I want to stress, I mean, our teams, there have been almost zero disruptions. They are extremely resilient on a personal level. We are extremely resilient on a company level. And I would even say, I mean, we bring that resilience to Europe. We are operating in the energy space. A lot of my clients are preparing the same business continuity plans that I had been preparing in 2021. Yeah. So I think this is again, once more stressing, I mean, we are all in the same boat, right? And all this resilience that we prepare, we all need to prepare it together. Right? Where do I see opportunities, right? I already said opportunities and challenges. I mean, as I already said, IT innovations, engineering, outsourcing, but also AI innovation. This is a great space to work with Ukraine in Europe. And let me also stress once more, I mean, we are all talking about digital resilience, digital sovereignty. I think Ukraine offers us that extremely good talent pool in Europe to be digital sovereign. We're also working with America, with our friends in America, with our friends in Asia. They're great talents, but here we have the chance to live digital sovereignty, right? And if I may ask for something, I mean, Kateryna also asked me to a little bit highlight what I think with challenges we can all work together. I mean, one of them is talk about it, talk well about it. I mean, work together on promoting Ukraine, because as I said, there seemed to be still a little bit of a, okay, is it safe? Can we go there? I would say a resounding yes. Let's work on promoting that and making sure everybody knows that. And the second thing is that I want to stress, I mean, we work together in Europe, right? And we cannot always bring everybody together. But if we have more networking, more physical networking, we are also love to bring Ukrainians over here. They're always very happy to come here if they can collaborate. They don't have that many chances to be officially invited for this job, which they need. And sometimes even us going to Ukraine, because I mean, my colleagues, we're very often now, well, I'm not so often because I'm here in Europe, but my delivery colleagues, they're going back and forth, right? That's no problem. And for example, Malte Rosenberger from Hetzner, he's also traveling to Ukraine once more in June. Let's go there. And I invite you also to come to ELEKS, look at that, and you will see that it's very, very good operating environment there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the
Thank
time.
you, Andreas. It was very inspiring, and it's inspiring for me personally when I hear from Germans who travel to Ukraine and invite other German companies to come. That is the best idea that can be. And my last visit to Ukraine, I communicated with German companies, and they have told that it's better to come once and to feel the atmosphere, the energy, to communicate with people. That is why I fully agree with you. Thank you very much. And I introduce now Ganna Mikulytska, Manager Director of SAP company. She has been the Managing Director of SAP Ukraine since July 2022. And actually she is responsible for the overall strategy, efficiency, development and growth of business in the Ukrainian market. Ganna, the floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes, and thank you for coming. We do not hear you. You are muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's such a shame to be coming from technology company and not to be able to unmute myself. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. Kateryna, thank you for handing over to me. I'm very glad that I'm speaking right after Andreas Gödecke, who was so inspiring. I only need to pick up basically and repeat and consent to everything Andreas said. And basically, I will be done with my 5 minutes. I'm one of the speakers who speak from Ukraine, from Kyiv. So hello from Ukraine. I guess together with Nadiia, we are speakers from Ukraine. Let me pick up from where Andreas finished. Please do come over to Ukraine. Yes, this is not always safe, but as the geopolitics are unfolding around the world, there are less and less safe places in the world. And if I can start, I know this is a little bit rude, but in Ukraine, we are cutting the corners and our small talk is getting really small. I will start with the asks, and my ask to the representatives of the German government, and be assured you are not the only ones here who might tell this to the German government. If the travel restrictions, official travel restrictions of the German government to Ukraine can be somewhat relooked and relieved, at least in the western parts of Ukraine, that would be significantly helpful for Ukrainian businessmen and businesses to be coming to Ukraine, because a number of a number of German businesses are looking at the official recommendations of the German government, which are tagging Ukraine as a red zone country, high risk, and all the other security restrictions. And following just the official protocol, this definitely limits the possibilities of business developments, investment developments of the Ukrainian potential. So I will continue with my asks later on, but let me go to again continue from where Andreas was talking about, speak about Ukraine. And let me be very particular here where I suggest there is a highlight of Ukrainian technology area. It was mentioned a few times already by some of the speakers, but I would like to particularly note that one. TheCityUK. TheCityUK is a special IT and legal regime for technology companies launched 4 years ago, right before the war started. It now accounts for over 4,000 members, and SAP Ukraine is one of the members of the TheCityUK regime. The conditions of this tax and legal regime are extremely favorable, and making Ukraine as one of the favorable or one of the most favorable destinations to locate businesses and technology businesses specifically, and now expanding also to defense, to robotics, to biotechnology. So this is something to be popularized further outside of Ukraine as one of the benefits that the country provides in terms of the technology attractiveness. Speaking about SAP in Ukraine, we've been here for over 30 years, no reductions since the war started, of course, supporting our staff. We have invested over 60 million euro into the country since the war started through fee waivers to our customers, letting them to focus on their priority needs and relieving them from paying SAP fees. We have two major lines of businesses in Ukraine. We have our R&D center here, where we have developers and engineers and help desk support who are working directly with our headquarters in Germany, in Waldorf. And we have a sales office which sells our enterprise software, leading enterprise software to the Ukrainian market. And here I would like to pick up where Garry Poluschkin mentioned that the Ukrainian technology sector is moving from outsourcing into products because there is a growing demand for products in the Ukrainian market, specifically in defense tech, for example, or maybe in renewables technology, which is absolutely all fair, and I fully subscribe to all that. From our perspective, there is a significant growing demand in Ukraine also for enterprise software, because you might not have known, enterprise software market in Ukraine since 1991, the independence of Ukraine, has been absolutely dominated and monopolized by Russian software, which is a significant cybersecurity risk for the whole country, which has been somewhat, I will dare to say that, somewhat neglected by the country, focusing on other more evident priorities. And now there is a demonopolization of this enemy software. This is how it is called, enemy software. And this is where SAP is playing part of its role with our enterprise software. And this is how the demand for software products is also growing in Ukrainian commercial and, most importantly, public sector, which has historically also been monopolized by so-called enemy software. Another thing that is developing in Ukraine in the corporate segment, in technology market, which has not been historically very strong compared to Western markets, is cloudification. And the war, fortunately or unfortunately, is pushing us in Ukraine into cloud. We as a country are going on that path much faster than other countries would be going, because our priority need is very eminent here. So we are still to cut the corners, so to say, and to adopt and to consider EU regulations around cloud. And this is where support of Germany and the more broad of European Union is very helpful to help us build the proper governance as per EU regulations with regards to cloudification, and, as Andreas mentioned, also about sovereignty, a very hot topic in Ukraine now. And I'll be finishing, and I will explain about the wallpaper that I have behind myself. I guess you would recognize, not SAP logo, that one you would definitely recognize, but another one, the trident. This is the logo of Ukrainian Armed Forces. And last week it was announced that Ministry of Defense of Ukraine has become a winner of Global SAP Innovation Award with its project of revamp of budgetary system of Ukrainian Armed Forces. And Ukrainian Armed Forces is the largest employer in Ukraine, understandably, and the largest budget spender in the country, whose budget actually exceeds the budgets of some countries, actually. And this is a sign of the significant digitization and appreciation and acknowledgement of the digitization in Ukraine on the global arena. Thank you with this, and Kateryna, handing over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your direct messages. I like it very much in Ukrainians, and when we speak with the companies, to make the story short, it's always useful to hear these direct issues. You have mentioned restrictions, of course, and problems with insurance for German companies. We, as an association, of course, we regularly try to tell about that, to try to speak openly with the federal government. That is why the process is going, and we, from our side, do what we can do. So thank you, Ganna. You will be able also to join the breakout sessions if you have the desire. And the last but not least, our speaker, Dr. Thomas Winkelmann, partner Henningen Winkelmann Consulting. You have 5 minutes, because actually then we will have our breakout sessions. Thomas? I do not know. Are you here? Because well, actually, I didn't see Thomas before, and I do not see him. That is why I think then we can start our breakout sessions. We will have 15 minutes. Once again, I will explain what is that.